All right. 40 people, that's above all the expectations. And people keep connecting, very good. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. The webinar is being recorded. Hi, Valentina. And this is the agenda for today. The webinar is expected to be 1 hour long. We will talk, I will talk mostly for today. We will have a questions and answers session at the end of the webinar. During the webinar, I will talk about the data delivery in general, what's the problem and why we believe there is a problem to solve with the data delivery. Then 20 to 25 minutes I will spend demonstrating the data catalog, what it looks like and how people can work with it. A few minutes I will talk about the roadmap for the end of this year, because what you will see, the data catalog is the initial release of the product, which means that we still have a lot on our plates to deliver later this year. But nevertheless, the product is already quite functional because basically we have been preparing for releasing data catalog the last year and a half. Many architectural decisions made when we developed EasyMorph were made explicitly with the idea of supporting the future data catalog. So the day has come, the data catalog is here. A lot of effort, a lot of thinking, a lot of development went into the initial release of the data catalog, and I'm very, very happy to present it to you. But still, many things will be developed. I will especially, I would like to especially highlight the one feature that will be available in the catalog a bit later. It's hyperlinking of datasets. I will talk about it a bit later. And finally, at the end, I'm planning no less than 15 minutes for questions and answers. So I'm asking everybody, please mute your mic if you are not speaking. Also, I will have a chat window. There should be a chat window here. I will have a chat window available. So if you have any questions, then you can use the chat. You can use it. Well, somebody cannot open video and audio. Well, in any case, the webinar is recorded. So if you have problems seeing the video or or hearing the sound, then you can rewatch the webinar after the recording is available. All right, so let's start. And thank you everyone again for joining the webinar. It's quite exciting to see so many people, and especially so many known and unknown names. So let's talk a bit about what we're going to talk today. And we will be talking mostly about knowledge workers, because the problem the data catalog solves is the problem related to knowledge workers. And when we talk about knowledge workers, who they are, what do they do? So knowledge workers Well, typically it's the type of people who work heavily with the data. It can be finance analysts, accountants, people who are busy with marketing, HR managers, inventory managers, and so on. So these people, they have a lot of data to analyze, and they have a lot of data to consume. And when we look at the data they consume, what kind of data they operate with? It can be orders, it can be customers, transactions, price list, account balances, payroll, and whatnot. In a large organization, there are hundreds and hundreds of data sets that people consume on a regular basis because they need it for work. And how do they do it? So I created a persona. I call him Daniel. So meet Daniel. Daniel is a knowledge worker, and his job requires working with the data. How does he obtain the data? Well, the first channel available to anyone in an organization, it's of course emails. So it's quite frequent that people receive the data they need, the different reports, database extracts and whatnot. They receive it through emails. By the way, please mute your microphone because I can hear a few people in the background. Thank you. The second channel, how people receive information, I believe by popularity, is network folders. It's quite popular in especially in large organizations to have a network folder where all kinds of data is being dumped in, and it can be anything. It can be spreadsheets, text files, I don't know, PDF documents, Word documents. It can be anything. These network folders eventually become I don't know. There is the term data lake. I think these network folders eventually become a huge data piles. It's just a piles of different folders, subfolders, subfolders, and subfolders. It can be very messy. And of course, there is no structure. Nothing is documented. It's just a chaotic mess. Another channel, quite popular, corporate applications such as SharePoint, or maybe enterprise applications that automate different transactions and operations, ERP systems, CRM systems, where you can get data extracts and maybe export them to Excel and do something with them in Excel. So that's an option too. And finally, of course, we cannot get around business intelligence tools such as Power BI or Tableau or Qlik or Domo. And BI tools are quite popular, although I have a feeling that they are solving a problem that existed 20 years ago, not now. If you talk about, so we talked about channels, how data is received, but what about formats? Again, we will see a variety of formats. Spreadsheets, well, probably the most popular format to exchange data in an organization. Text files, also quite common, especially in cases when there are reports or the extracts generated by SQL queries from database. They generate text files and again dump them somewhere on the network. SQL databases for those who can write SQL, that can be available source of information. So if Daniel can write select queries, well, his salary is probably already 20% above the average, because lots of useful data is stored in SQL databases frequently. So anybody who can extract it is highly valuable. And what we are seeing more and more is Web API data. And Web APIs are becoming more and more common. And this is something I think that is very typical for the current period of time, because we see the proliferation of cloud applications, software as a service. So there are all kinds of web APIs provided by these applications, and we need ways to extract data from them. And currently, there are no good tools for that. Every time you have to deal with the web API, there is a big question: how do I deliver data from that web API to normal people who don't know what JSON is? If we look at all this picture, we see different data formats, we see different channels, and it does not look very organized. We can definitely say that all these formats require different tools require different skills to work with them, and it's not very uniform, it's not governable, it's not searchable, and it's not scalable. I would like especially point out the problem of governability, because typically in such environments, when there is a variety of channels, variety of formats, variety of tools, it's impossible to track who is receiving what, when, how frequently, and if they are happy with what they receive. Just one question: in your organization, if your task is to deliver data to business users in your organization, how do you know that you can stop delivering a report or a data set? I will tell you a story from my experience. Once I talked to a middle-level IT manager in a large Canadian bank in Toronto, and she told me that she and her team produce on average 800 reports a day. So typically it's an SQL query. Sometimes these SQL queries can be pretty large. A few queries that I saw had 600, 800, and 1,000 lines, so pretty big queries. So these queries produce CSV files, and they dump these CSV files into a network folder, and they do it every day. So it's quite a lot of work. Her team is busy with delivering these reports, but there is a problem. Some of these reports, probably half of them, is no longer needed. The problem, they don't know exactly which half. Why? Because there is no governability. There is no trace. They have no idea who is using what, and they are too afraid to stop producing any report because they are afraid that it can disrupt someone's reporting process, or it can affect someone. So they don't know when to stop and what to stop, and that's why they have to generate all these reports every day forever. Not very optimal use of resources. So what is data catalog in a nutshell? The data catalog, it's an application for data and file retrieval. And so I will make special emphasis on file retrieval because, well, you see lots of tools for data retrieval, but not so many tools for file retrieval, and definitely not in a single interface. What else is the data catalog? It's a searchable directory of all data that users need. So it's a single catalog of all data sets, files, and web resources. I will talk about details a bit later. But this directory is searchable, so you can find items, catalog items by description or by fields it uses. In the data catalog, any data is retrieved in one click. So we explicitly designed the data catalog to be as simple to use as possible. So we want to target the lowest data skill level that you can see among knowledge workers. It's Excel friendly because, well, Excel is not going anywhere. I remember when big BI vendors kept talking that, well, Excel is obsolete. We are replacing Excel. Use our product. Excel is no longer in fashion. Well, Excel is here, and it's not going anywhere. So the data catalog is designed specifically to be very Excel friendly because frequently people use BI applications just to pull data from them into Excel and keep working in Excel. Okay, the data catalog has a journal to keep track of who's using what. By design, it's designed to be scalable to hundreds and thousands of users. In terms of use cases, you can think of the data catalog as a low ceremony reporting application because it produces data sets, also computed data sets. We'll talk about this in a moment. And finally, an interesting use case for the data catalog is a front end for web APIs because when you need to deliver data from web APIs, there is no a good way for this. Well, the data catalog is perfect for delivering data from web APIs. What does it look like if Daniel starts using the catalog? Well, all the channels, all the data formats that Daniel works with are now can be delivered through the catalog. So the catalog provides a single uniform interface to access data in a large variety of formats, and that comes through a high variety of channels. Let's look a bit closer at the data catalog items. So what can you find in the data catalog? So what can you add to the data catalog? Well, first of all, it's tabular data sets, or simply speaking, tables. Tabular data sets, what can it be? It can be basically any tabular information. It can be spreadsheet data, or a table loaded from a CSV file, or a database, or a web API data, or something extracted from an enterprise or cloud application. So any tabular data set can be delivered through the data catalog. What can you do with it? Well, first of all, you can retrieve it and view. You can search, you can filter, you can export it to Excel in a single click, or a text file, or a number of other file formats supported by EasyMorph. And finally, with a single click, you can start transforming it visually with EasyMorph. What else can be added to the data catalog? Basically, any file. It can be a PDF file, a zip file, it can be an image. So you can add it to the data catalog and you can retrieve it in the same single user interface. What can you do with these files? Well, you cannot probably represent them as a tabular data set, but you can retrieve them and you can save them locally. So if you need to work with them locally, what can it be? It can be. I hear someone speaking. Is it a question? No, no question so far. What can it be? It can be invoices. It can be PDFs with the technical specifications for products. It can be scans of receipts. It can be basically, well, any document that you work with, because in some organizations work with thousands and tens of thousands, maybe even millions of uniform documents, such as invoices or purchase orders. And once in a while, you need to retrieve a specific document. So you need to find it somewhere and retrieve it. So with EasyMorph, you can do it in a few clicks. And finally, the last resource type is websites or web resources. What can it be? It can be business intelligence reports, basically anything that has a URL. It can be Power BI reports or Tableau dashboards or Click applications. It can be links to Confluence or internal wiki pages, or it can be links to external websites such as government websites if you need to link certain resources in the data catalog. What can you do with it? Well, you can open it in the web browser. Now, that's probably the most interesting part, because catalog items can be computed on the fly. And I believe this is what makes our data catalog is very, very different from any other data catalog you can find on the market. Because, well, first of all, the existing data catalogs, they only list the data assets an organization they have. They are very IT centric, and they are not designed for retrieving data. EasyMorph data catalog is designed for non-technical people. First of all, it's designed for retrieving data, and the data sets that it can provide, the data sets can be computed on the fly. So they don't have to exist initially. So the tables and the tabular data sets that the catalog can provide, they can be computed on the fly using the visual EasyMorph workflows. I will talk about them in a moment. For those who used to work with EasyMorph, you know that EasyMorph, it's a workflow application that transforms data that can be integrated from different sources on the fly, and that workflow produces a table, a rectangular data set, a table. So that table is delivered to the user as a result of workflow execution. So computed data sets, when executed, they produce a table, and effectively these data sets can be viewed as dynamic or virtual data views, because they generate data on the fly, and this data is not materialized. It's not like some database table or a file. A data can be composed on the fly. Let's say it can be merged from a database and from a file and from a web API, or maybe SharePoint list or something else. So those are computed data sets. Also, file items also can be computed. In this case, the files are not generated, but instead, because we can use those visual workflows under the hood, and those workflows can be parameterized. It means that you can compute the exact file name or file path or file location based on parameters. So you can specify parameters, and EasyMorph will calculate the necessary file path and deliver that file to you on the fly. So you don't have to go through tons of directories. And finally, web links can be computed too. So in this case, the URLs can be computed on the fly, again, with EasyMorph workflows, which means that you can dynamically specify things like URL parameters, or hosts, or whatever URL parts can be computed. In this way, for instance, you can use an EasyMorph workflow with parameters to generate a link and pass these parameters to a Power BI report through the URL. So that's possible too. A few words about EasyMorph workflows. So for those of you who didn't work with EasyMorph previously, this is what it looks like. So this picture can give you an idea of a visual EasyMorph workflow. In EasyMorph workflows, tables are transformed with actions. So you can see tables, and those small icons on top, they represent actions. There are more than 160 different actions available, actions that transform data, filter, sort, calculate new columns, merge, pivot, unpivot. They can parse JSON, and also actions that can do external operations, such as running scripts, external applications. They can do web requests, update databases, copy, move, delete, zip, unzip files, folders. So overall, EasyMorph workflows, they are similar to, it's basically like a programming language. It's very powerful. It has loops, it has iterations, it has conditional branching, subroutines, exceptions, error handling. So overall, you can design quite complex logic with EasyMorph workflows that processes data. And because you do it visually by dragging and dropping actions in tables, that makes designing such workflows, my headphones sometimes off. That makes designing the workflows very easy. So people who work with the EasyMorph, they most frequently cite that EasyMorph saves a lot of time. It's a big time saver because how easy and how intuitive it is. The last slide before we jump to the demonstration. So the data catalog is designed for different skill levels. It's designed to be suitable for regular users who only work with maybe spreadsheets and Excel and network folders, so they can retrieve data from the catalog in one click, export it into Excel, and keep working in Excel. It's suitable for advanced users who want to automate things more, who want to design dynamically computed data sets, maybe. And finally, since the data catalog is based on the EasyMorph technology, on EasyMorph server, data engineers can design powerful enterprise API automations and ETL jobs. And soon we will be adding the ability for Python and C# scripting. So those who are comfortable with Python scripting can use EasyMorph as well inside the data catalog. All right, let's see it in action. All right, I'm showing on my screen. You should see EasyMorph desktop. And for those of you who already worked with EasyMorph, you can notice that there is a new bar on the left side. So the existing functionality, it's now called Workflow Editor. So, and the data catalog lives here. It lives in the application bar on the left. So what you see now on your screen is a small data catalog that I built for testing purposes and also that I use myself. So what you can see here you can see directories that look like folders, and you can see catalog items. So these are catalog items. Directories, they are very much like folders. So if you go to one directory, you can find more items in that directory and the subdirectory, just empty. So directories are very much like folders, although they're virtual. They are not real folders. Now let's see how we can work with the items. So in a simple case, so let's go to the marketing directory, and we will retrieve a list of people who registered for this webinar. How we can do that? We press retrieve. So what happens under the hood? Under the hood, an EasyMorph workflow is executed that connects to Google Sheets and that extracts data from Google Sheets on the fly. And now we can receive this table in the data catalog. So what you see is dataset viewer. And in this dataset viewer, well, I obscured the email addresses a bit for privacy. In this dataset viewer, you can view the dataset and notice the 3 buttons here. So you can export into one of the file formats supported by the data catalog. Let's say we want to export into Excel. So we save this dataset as Excel file, and we open it. And here we go. So now we have this data set exported into Excel. What else can you do with it? You can send it to the workflow editor. So when you already had a project here, when you send it to workflow editor, you can start transforming this data set with the EasyMorph actions. You add actions, and you can start transforming it with actions. Okay, and in the dataset viewer, also notice that in this data view, we have a few filters pre-configured. So you can design a dataset item in the catalog so that it has filters, and so you can explore data right here if necessary. If you need to find something, you can find it right here, and soon we will have, besides filters, we will have charts available on the right side. We call this analysis view. So analysis view will be available for catalog items as well. Okay, so this is retrieving data sets. Let's do a bit more complex operation. So we'll retrieve, again, I'm located in one directory, marketing. Here we just retrieve data from a Google sheet. Now I'm going to retrieve data from another source. So and this is our Google Analytics report for our website, easymorph.com. Now when I press retrieve, I can specify parameters because the workflow that runs underneath this item, it has parameters. So I can configure parameters. For instance, I want to pick the analytics for 2 weeks, and I press start. Now EasyMorph goes to the Google Analytics API and pulls data from Google Analytics. So that's another source of data for my marketing needs. Okay, the data set is ready. I can open it. And here we go. So this is our statistics for easymorph.com, and we can filter, we can analyze it right here. We can analyze it right here, explore it, and if needed, again, we can save it as Excel, or we can send it to EasyMorph for transformation. How about other items, item types? Let's look at this item. It brings us to the Google Analytics web portal because it's a web link item. When I press retrieve, now I'm going to our Google Analytics portal. You can think, you can imagine it can be, let's say, Power BI report. Power BI report, and it takes a while to update it. Okay, so you can think of it as a dashboard that you can open right from the catalog. How about delivering files? Yes, that's possible too. So in let's say we have a file that I need to deliver. So I press retrieve. Well, this file is a computed URL, so I can open this web link, and it's a PDF file that opens in a web browser. I can, in a similar fashion, I can deliver a file that is stored on a server on another computer. So for this, I will add catalog item, just to demonstrate you how items can be created. I select file, file path. So at this point in the initial release, we support files, only files stored on EasyMorph server, but in the next releases, we will be adding support for files stored anywhere on Google Drive, SharePoint, SFTP server, Amazon S3 buckets, anywhere. Okay, so let's select a file here. Okay, maybe we want it to be an Excel file. We'll give it a name, test Excel file, and we've just published our new catalog item. We published it manually, but in the future, it will be available to publish new items automatically, either through the catalog API or using the data catalog command in EasyMorph workflows. So we've created a new item. Now, if you retrieve it, it looks like that. Okay, now EasyMorph prompts us where to save the file. We save it. And we can open the file. Here we opened it. So it can be a PDF file. We can, in this case, we can it will open in Adobe Reader and so on. The same. So we've seen three types of catalog items: data sets, files, and web URLs that can be put together in one directory, and it's searchable. For instance, if we type Google here, we will see a list of search matches where each where the keyword is found. It can be item description, it can be item name, or it can be fields, because in each item we can have fields. Okay, maybe. Well, in this item, fields are not created, but we can describe fields such as company name and add all other fields. Currently, it's done manually, but again, with the data catalog command action available in the next release of EasyMorph, this field metadata can be populated automatically or programmatically using EasyMorph workflows. Okay, so now we can search by companies. Okay, here we go. We can find the necessary field. Oh, company. Sorry, company. Yes, company name. Yeah, in the data set. This similar functionality, but a bit more restricted, is available through the web API. So you don't have to use EasyMorph Desktop if you just need to retrieve data. In this case, okay, going to so I'm logging into to EasyMorph server. And the catalog has a web API where you can retrieve items in a similar fashion. For instance, if we need to retrieve our Google Analytics statistics, then I press retrieve. Again, provide parameters, press retrieve. And the retrieval is running. You can see it here. Okay, the result is ready. I can download it as Excel spreadsheet. Right from the web. Again, I open it in Excel. And here we go. Finally, to show the traceability of all user actions here, I'm going to log in as administrator to the EasyMorph server console and go to journal. And here we see the journal of user operations. When we see that what user retrieved what item from the catalog. So we see all the links, items. The journal under the hood is a database, so you can connect to it using a, let's say, business intelligence tool, or you can run an SQL query, or you connect to it with EasyMorph as well. So you can design reports on usage. You can analyze usage patterns, who is using what, when, how frequently, and so on. So traceability is ensured through the journal. Finally, I wanted to say a couple of words about what's coming next. So in our roadmap for 2022, we will have a minor release in a couple of weeks, which will add new catalog item, database query, and also per space and unlimited user licensing will be available as options. But the most interesting release, in my opinion, will be 5.3. That will be later this year, probably in September. That will introduce catalog item hyperlinking, which I mentioned already, as well as action data catalog command. I also mentioned it, and new catalog item workflow. That's basically a task that doesn't return anything. So what is catalog item hyperlinking, and why is it highlighted with a bold font here? I believe it's a big, interesting feature of the data catalog. And to illustrate it, I will open one of the examples here. Let's say I will retrieve that file. I'm going to retrieve a data set. Now, so you have an idea about the computed data sets in EasyMorph. You understand that they can have parameters. Now, what is hyperlinking? Hyperlinking means that if we the ability to retrieve a data set based on selections in another data set. For instance, if I have here a company name and I want to retrieve, I don't know, maybe financial statement for the company. I right click the company name, and here in the menu, there will be additional menu commands will be available, and these commands will be custom commands. So there will be two types of commands: raw commands that trigger another catalog item or retrieve another catalog item with the selected value as a parameter. So I can from this data set, I can retrieve another data set, let's say with transactions for this company or with orders for this company, or I can retrieve a PDF document with financial reports, or I can go to the website of this company. All of this can be added as custom commands in the right-click menu for this row. And another type of command is columns. So for instance, when I select a list of columns, okay, I select some values. Again, I have list of companies that I need to do something with. I will be able to right click, and again, in this column menu, I will have a few custom commands that will pass the full list of the companies through a parameter into a computed catalog item, or data retrieval, or maybe some operations. Okay, the filter tabs on the EasyMorph server. Okay, let's go back to questions, and then I have a couple of questions in the chat. I want to use the time efficiently. and to not keep you longer as promised. All right. So now the time for questions and answers. And if you have questions, I would be happy to provide an answer. So go ahead, unmute your mic and speak up.
Dimitri, hello. Thank you. Thanks a lot for this. This is Arend. Happy user of EasyMorph. I'm happy to see this. So thanks so far. I have a question. Is there also a possibility to adjust the web interface of the EasyMorph server? Because I can understand, I can think about a situation where users that do not use EasyMorph themselves, but do want to use the datasets that come out of them.
Okay.
Is it adjustable?
Adjustable. What kind of adjustment do you think you will need?
That's more user friendly. Looks rather technical. I mean, a user only wants to use the datasets that are below. Maybe something to think of.
Maybe we are open to suggestions. So if you have ideas how to make it more user friendly, that's of course welcome. We have the community forum. So all the suggestions about the way the catalog looks and works, all the suggestions are welcome. So please create a new topic.
This is a very similar question to me. Is kind of like a data catalog focused user that they don't use the EasyMorph server for anything else but the data catalog. So it would be the primary focus would be the data catalog. The other tabs wouldn't be there. It would just be things for data catalog. It'd be much more user friendly.
Oh, okay. I see. The question is whether whether other tabs can be hidden. Yes, they can, because in the let's do that in the simply speaking, yes, it is possible. You can, if we log in. Yes, all these other tabs, they can be disabled in the server settings. So the users will only see the tab catalog and nothing else. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so that's per space. So you're saying the user has to have their own space?
A space in EasyMorph server, it's like a work group. Typically, one space is for one team. Let's say your marketing works with one space, your finance works with another space. So yes, so data catalog can be enabled. Only data catalog can be enabled in space, and everything else, all the other features like tasks, files, everything else will be disabled.
Gotcha.
So, Dimitri, what if you have spaces for several customers? Like if you're several customers and you host the data for them, so they can access their own space with their own data. Is that a typical situation? What you suggest to do?
Yes, it is possible. In this case, you can protect space with a password.
The only thing is that you can see the space name of other clients then.
No, if the space is password protected, clients won't be able to see data of each other.
I can. When I log into the server, I can see the other spaces that they have, and they have. I can see that they are locked, of course, but I can see that.
You mean the list of spaces?
Yes.
It can be disabled in. There is a setting for that in server settings to prohibit the public listing of spaces.
Need to look into that a little bit more. Thanks.
Okay, data log is already taken, so it's okay, a few more questions in the chat. Okay, is there a way to filter tabs? Okay, that question I understand is already answered. I did not see dates for APIs in the roadmap. That's a good question. Do you have an estimated date? By the end of this year. That's a conservative estimate, but no more optimistic deadlines for now. By the end of this year, the API for the catalog should be ready. Another question, data classification. Not sure I understand it, Casey, but I'll send you an email after the webinar. Maybe you can clarify a bit more what it means. Like Snowflake, does data sharing could be used that feature for external partners? Yes, I believe so. There are two options how you can use data catalog for external partners, either through the API that will be available in one of the future versions, or you can provide access to one of the spaces through the web browser and protect that space with a password. So that's another option. Question about authentication. At this point, it's Active Directory only. That's correct. In the initial release, it's Active Directory only. In the next minor release in 2 weeks, we will be supporting password protected spaces as well. So two possible authentication types will be supported. Can you show the API connection? How do you set the catalog item for an API source? Yes, we can do that. For instance, if we go back to the workflow editor, and I'm going to open one of the examples that comes pre-installed with EasyMorph. It's called Community Users. So this example shows all the users recently active on the forum and their usernames. I'm going to mark the last table as the default result table, and I'm going to publish this this project on EasyMorph server. Let's say catalog action, community users. Here we go. So I published the project. Now I'm going to the catalog, and I say add new catalog item, computed data set. And here I select the workflow I just published, community users. And we can call it also community users and publishing. Oh, that's the name. Here we go. Okay, now I can retrieve community users through the catalog. And here we go. This is the list of users obtained through the catalog. And the request to obtain the list of it goes through the API. So this is the web request action in the workflow, and here is another iterate web request action that goes through the community API. So the request and so on. That goes through the API. Is it included in the server package price-wise? Yes and no. Yes, because there are two types of users for the data catalog: professional users that can create and retrieve items. For those users, no additional license is required. They can already use catalog, so there is no extra fee to pay. It's already available. So if you have EasyMorph server and you have professional users, they only have to be managed by the server and not from a static license key. So this is already available, so it can already work. Also, in the next version, we will be adding a new license that will introduce a new type of users, regular users, that will only be able to retrieve items from the catalog. And these users are licensed per space, so it's unlimited users per space, and the pricing is already available on our website. If you go to our website, pricing at the bottom, this is the pricing for data catalog add-on for additional regular users. Another question from Daniel. Okay, very cool to see the data. Daniel says there will be value of linking, and Daniel is the Chief Executive Officer of Frontline Systems, who makes solver application. And he says that it looks like a good opportunity to link their application with EasyMorph. That's a good question. Daniel, I'll reach out to you after the webinar. All right. More questions? Please, I'm still online, so if you have time and you have questions, feel free to ask your question. I'm still here, not going anywhere. All right, it looks like no more questions and people start leaving the webinar. So I have to thank everyone for coming and spending your time. I hope that was of value for you. If you have questions, please feel free to send me an email. Probably you received one from me in the last 24 hours, so you can just reply to that email. If you didn't, check out your spam box. Also, the data catalog, if you want to have a personal demonstration or evaluation license for the data catalog, it's available on just submit a request at datacatalog.com. Submit a request, and I will be more than happy to contact you. Thank you, everyone. And
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dimitri.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dimitri.
Thank you, and have a great one.
Thank you, too. Dimitri. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.